Coming up on News 3 New Mexico, it's the 25th anniversary of the nation's only underground repository for radioactive waste, and we have the details for you.
We're observing a fire weather watch in eastern New Mexico and Albuquerque. Find out more on my first weather forecast.
New Mexico State Police will be conducting sobriety checkpoints throughout April. That story and more right now.
This is News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening and welcome to News 3 New Mexico. I'm Chandra Benz.
And I'm Paige Guard. Thank you so much for watching.
A Roswell man was struck by a vehicle in Roswell around 9 p.m. on Wednesday, March 28th. The victim, identified as Jimmy James Galvin, was crossing South Sunset Avenue near West Hobbs Street when he was struck by a car traveling north in the lane. Emergency medical personnel rendered aid to Galvin at the scene and transported him to a hospital where he died 3 hours later. The car that struck Galvin was a 2021 Hyundai Elantra and was driven by a 29-year-old man with a 23-year-old woman in the passenger seat. Both were left uninjured by the accident. The intersection did not have streetlights, and the driver said he didn't see Galvin as he was wearing dark clothing until the collision occurred. The investigation into this incident is still ongoing.
A school in New Mexico went on lockdown Wednesday because 6 migrants had entered. It happened at Santa Teresa Middle School in Sunland Park, and it's the second time within the week. The issue is, migrants are ending up in the school unintentionally as they try to evade Border Patrol agents. Having unauthorized people in a school poses a security risk. The Border Patrol already has a higher number of agents in the area during school hours, and the school has its own resource officer. Many parents want more done to keep this from happening again. New Mexico State Police will be conducting sobriety checkpoints, saturation patrols, and insurance and driver's license checkpoints in all counties, including in eastern New Mexico and southeastern New Mexico during the month of April. The agency is bringing awareness to potential violations to reduce impaired driving-related fatalities through committed media attention and intensive advertising. State leaders say the checkpoints are helping to change society's attitude about driving while under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs. It's believed that hundreds of lives could be saved each year if every driver had the courage to make the right decision to not drive impaired.
The city manager for Portales, New Mexico, was placed on paid administrative leave until the end of her contract for 2024. According to the Eastern New Mexico News, Sarah Austin was not given a clear answer as to why she was put on leave since she had received nothing but good evaluations. A special city meeting has been planned on Tuesday to discuss her contract. When the council had extended her contract in 2022, it had also given her a raise to $102,000 a year from $89,000, which she was previously receiving. It is unclear who is acting as interim city manager, if anyone, and Portales city offices are closed today in observance of Good Friday. So, Hannah, you talked about fire weather. Are we getting any relief from that anytime soon?
Unfortunately, we won't be seeing much precipitation through the weekend, but we are going to be seeing some rain and snow throughout the United States. In particular, we're observing a system of rain push up from San Francisco into Nevada, as well as some snow in Montana. Here in the eastern portion of the U.S., we're seeing some rain and snow up in Maine, as well as near Chicago, Illinois. We are going to be observing significant pollen in New Mexico, particularly tree pollen. That's due to the bloom in spring, so if you need to take antihistamines, it's a great time to start. We are going to be observing a fire weather warning throughout the state, particularly in Albuquerque, as well as all of the pink areas highlighted until Saturday at 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. That's all the weather I have for you right now. Back to you.
Thank you, Hannah. Following the discovery of a methane hotspot in northern New Mexico, environmental scientists are searching for the source and looking for ways to mitigate the emissions. PBS's Kathleen McCleary has more.
You can't see it with the naked eye, but methane gas is escaping into the air around this well in northwestern New Mexico.
Oh yeah, boy. It's just boiling up out of off the side of it here. You can take a look.
You can see the methane, along with other emissions, with the help of an infrared camera. This one operated by the environmental group Earthworks.
There's a lot of leaking coming from both of those valve boxes.
Methane is the primary component of natural gas.
It's also a greenhouse gas. Like carbon dioxide, it traps energy in the atmosphere, and according to the Environmental Protection Agency, contributes to climate change. CO2 is far more prevalent, but methane is much more potent.
Methane is about 25 times more potent a greenhouse gas on a 100-year horizon than CO2.
Los Alamos atmospheric scientist Manvendra Dubey was measuring carbon dioxide, not methane, last year when NASA released satellite images, including this one, showing a 2,500 square mile hotspot centered over the Four Corners area where New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona meet.
They showed that over Four Corners, methane was enhanced, and it was the kind of the hottest methane spot in the whole of continental U.S.
Now Dubey and others are tracking methane through ground and aerial investigations aimed at finding the sources of the hotspot. Some emissions seep out of coal beds here in the San Juan Basin. Some come from agriculture, including cows. Winds allow the gas to pool in the river basins surrounded by mountains. Nationwide, the EPA traces the largest amount, about 30%, to natural gas and petroleum. But the industry doesn't accept that figure yet. Wally Drangmeister, vice president of the New Mexico Oil and Gas Association, wants the ongoing research to examine all sources.
There are natural outcroppings, there's coal mining, there's a lot of other activities, and so we would really like to see the science completed so that we're not just the only industry or the only source that's getting blamed.
Natural gas production in the U.S. is on the upswing and is expected to grow more than 50% over the next 25 years. That means emissions are likely to increase too, unless measures are taken to reduce them. I'm Kathleen McCleary in New Mexico's San Juan Basin.
Thanks, Kathleen. The Carlsbad Police Department recently issued a warning about a scam that targets individuals with claims that a relative of theirs is being held hostage and threatens physical harm against them. The police department strongly advises against complying with any demands for money or sharing personal information with these perpetrators. The police department urges residents, if they receive this call, to hang up the phone and contact the relative directly if you have any concerns regarding their safety. These spam calls use invalid numbers that cannot be traced back to the original caller. If you have encountered any suspicious activity or need assistance, contact your local law enforcement agency for further guidance.
The government of Curry County has news for impoverished county residents struggling with their medical bills. Thanks to raised income eligibility requirements, you may qualify for assistance. The single-person household income limit has raised to $25,000 a year, while the married or multiple-person household income limit has raised to $35,000 a year. Anyone interested in learning more about the program can find information at www.currycountynm.gov/services/indigent-services.
Federal officials gathered this week in southern New Mexico to mark the 25th anniversary of the nation's only underground repository for radioactive waste resulting from decades of nuclear research and bomb making. Carved out of an ancient salt formation about half a mile deep, the waste isolation pilot plant outside Carlsbad has taken in around 13,850 shipments from more than a dozen national laboratories and other sites since 1999. The anniversary comes as New Mexico raises concerns about the federal government's plans for repackaging and shipping to the waste isolation pilot plant a collection of drums filled with the same kind of materials that prompted a radiation release at the repository in 2014. That mishap contaminated parts of the underground facility and forced an expensive, nearly 3-year closure. It also delayed the federal government's multi-billion-dollar cleanup program and prompted policy changes at labs and other sites across the U.S.
The Village of Ruidoso has announced their Vegan Chef Challenge taking place throughout the month of April. Participating restaurants are unveiling their innovating vegan creations and showcasing tantalizing plant-based menu options. Diners are encouraged to explore these unique offerings, indulging in delectable vegan meals while engaging in the interactive challenge as patrons vote and share their dining experiences and showcase their culinary adventures through comments and photos. Whether you're a committed vegan or simply curious about a plant-based diet, the Ruidoso Vegan Chef Challenge promises a month-long celebration of flavor, creativity, and community. For further details, visit veganchefchallenge.org/Ruidoso.
If you're looking for something fun to do tonight, the Eastern New Mexico University's Gender and Sexuality Alliance has you covered with their semi-annual Drag-Lesque show. ENMU students and community members have gotten together to put on a circus-themed drag show for the whole community to attend. The event will take place March 29th in the Greyhound Lounge, which is downstairs in the Cub, from 7 to 9 p.m. Everyone is invited to attend, and all sales of drinks and snacks, including popcorn and cotton candy, will go to help ENMU GSA to support future events. There is no fee to get in, but tipping the performers is encouraged. ENMU GSA thanks the community for their continued support of this event, as well as the support for the LGBTQ+ community. Coming up after the break, Hannah will have their full weather report for you.
But first, here's a look at today's financial market.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to News 3 New Mexico. Let's take a look at today's full weather forecast. We can take another look at the satellite and radar. As you can see, there's some rain and even a little bit of snow pushing up through San Francisco up into Nevada, as well as some snow near Billings, Montana. We're also going to be observing some snow in the northern portion of Minnesota. We're also seeing some snow on the East Coast, particularly in the northern portion near Maine. Unfortunately, we aren't going to be seeing much rain at all in New Mexico. The skies are clear throughout the state, and in eastern New Mexico, we'll only be seeing scattered storms throughout tonight. We will be observing a fire weather warning throughout the state, particularly in Bernalillo, Sandoval, Socorro, and Valencia counties until Saturday at 8 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. That will also extend to Harding, Mora, San Miguel, and Union counties, and all of the pink areas highlighted. We will be observing significant wind speeds throughout the weekend, so make sure to come prepared as you celebrate Easter. As you can see, all the blue areas highlighted are going to have wind speeds as high as 10 miles per hour today. In the yellow areas, wind speeds will be reaching as high as 30 miles per hour, and in the purple areas, wind speeds will be reaching as high as 50 miles per hour. The wind speeds will calm down overnight, but will become more significant on Saturday, where we'll be seeing significant portions of the western portion of the state affected by 50-mile-per-hour winds. Sunday night, the wind speeds will continue up into 3 p.m. We have been observing significant drought conditions throughout the state, but they have dwindled throughout the year. As we can see, last year, drought conditions became exceptional and extreme throughout the state, particularly in the southern portions. But as we approach the summer and the arrival of spring rain, things have begun to lighten up. Current temperatures throughout the state are quite pleasant. We're seeing current temperatures of 64 degrees in Farmington and 62 in Gallup, as well as 74 in Silver City. Here in the eastern portion of the state, we're seeing much warmer temperatures with 84 in Roswell, 78 in Portales and Clovis, and 74 in Santa Rosa. Tonight's lows are going to be a little bit chilly. We're going to be seeing lows between 30 and 40 degrees in the northern portion of the state, as well as reaching 50 to even 60 degrees in the southern portion of the state. Tomorrow's highs will be warm, ranging between 60 and 80 degrees. Now, as far as our 7-day forecast, we can take a look at Portales. We're going to be seeing temperatures with highs as high as 80 to 60 degrees and lows ranging between 30 and 50 degrees. Wind will be significant through the weekend, but we will be seeing the skies clear up from Tuesday up into Friday.
All right, that's all the time we have for right now. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back. Next week is National Public Health Week in the United States, and the New Mexico Department of Health is hosting a health fair on Wednesday, April 3rd in Chaparral, New Mexico. The event lasts from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and provides free health screenings, free health information, as well as hosting music, games, giveaways, and more. For more information on the event, you can visit the New Mexico Department of Health's Facebook page.
With avian flu spreading to cattle in several states, practicing good flock hygiene is more important than ever. If you have backyard birds, there are steps you can take to keep yourself and your local ranchers safe. First, cover your chicken coops and wear dedicated clothing and shoes to reduce the risk of external pathogens reaching your flock. Keep your poultry in their coop. Change your flock's food and water every day and ensure that their feeding dishes are kept clean before and after you work with your flock. Make sure to wash your hands as well. Most importantly, practice caution in places like feed stores where other poultry owners tend to go. You might pick up germs, so make sure to change your clothes and shoes and wash your hands before going back to your flock. While avian flu can't be completely prevented, it can be mitigated, and by taking the right steps now, you can protect your flock's future.
Protections were upheld for a rare bird species known to dwell throughout New Mexico, despite a lawsuit coming from the New Mexico agriculture industry in 2021. According to the Carlsbad Current-Argus, the New Mexico Cattle Growers Association sought to strip the southwestern willow flycatcher of its endangered species status by suing the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and Interior Department. The case was considered in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, which ruled against the association and upheld the status of the bird, first received in 1995. The southwestern willow flycatcher migrates annually from Latin America to the American Southwest, with estimated range including every New Mexico county, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Pre-kindergarten programs offer one of the best ways you can give your child a head start in their education. Programs like the New Mexico Early Childhood Education and Care Department's Pre-K grant makes these programs more accessible to all. And as the program expands to support an additional 1,300 children in 2025, you're invited to apply. Families with children between the ages of 3 and 4 years old may be eligible regardless of income. You can find out more information on the program and submit your own electronic application at www.nmececd.org/pre-K grant.
April is fast approaching, and with its arrival comes weeks of celebration during National Poetry Month. The New Mexico Department of Cultural Affairs has its own twist on the nationwide celebration and invites artists from across New Mexico to submit their work to a new statewide poetry competition. Entrants within the competition will have to write poetry responding to one of 10 artworks selected from the New Mexico Department of Cultural Affairs divisions across New Mexico. And the 20 winners selected will receive a pair of New Mexico Culture passes, as well as other mystery prizes. You can find out more about the poetry contest and submit your own work by visiting www.nmculture.org/poetry. Entries will be accepted until March 31st. Coming up after the break, Caitlin will have updates on the latest news in the sports world for you, so stay tuned.
Sports fans, I'm Caitlin Cook. Let's take a dive in this week's sports. Eastern baseball, the Greyhounds played last night at UT Tyler and took a loss with a score of 3-4. They are currently in their second game this weekend, and the score does not look very good for our Greyhounds. They have 2 more games this weekend at UT Tyler before they make their way home. This first one being tonight at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and the second being tomorrow at noon. They are currently 14-17 overall. Our women's softball played at home this week with 2 games Thursday night and 1 that happened today at noon. With 1 win and 2 losses, it now puts our Greyhounds at 20-18 overall. They play again in Denton, Texas, April 9th through the 10th with 3 games. This week sees the opening of the next chapter in the spring football saga, as the newly minted UFL is set to launch this Saturday with 2 reigning champions of the USFL and the XFL to face off. The leagues are expected to also be a test ground for new rules that could possibly be adopted into the NFL. The NFL has already adopted the former XFL's kickoff rules and is expected that a lot more rules may be tested in the UFL that could one day be implemented into the major NFL market. With many people excited for the new League Dubai, none have seemed more excited than the entrepreneur and owner of the league, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who believes that the league will not only succeed and thrive in the 2024 spring season, but also beyond, as he hopes to finally see a permanent spring football league put in its place. Baseball season is in full swing as opening day for the major leagues has made its way here, and hopes to